There's a specific group of adults who aggressively manage high-risk algorithmic investment portfolios on their phone while simultaneously hoarding physical cash in a fireproof safe. They are often the same people who masterfully harvest elite credit card rewards, yet experience intense psychological discomfort if that revolving statement balance isn't paid down to zero the moment the notification arrives. These are Xennials, born between 1976 and 1985. They possess a structural financial bilingualism that defies standard generational labels. They are too skeptical of debt to be typical millennials, but too fluent with high-tech fintech to be grouped with Generation X. This micro-generation is attempting to navigate a modern world of extreme capital abundance by relying on the defensive, high-friction psychology of their childhood. In the 80s and early 90s, money was defined by unyielding physical constraints. If you needed liquid cash, your parents drove to an ATM once a week. When not cash left the envelope, it was gone. There was no digital mechanism to pull capital from another ledger instantaneously. As this layaway sign suggests, acquiring an expensive item often required months of manual, bi-weekly payments at a customer service desk. You didn't take the product home until you had mathematically earned the right to own it. This handwritten check register was the primary tool for financial clarity. To know your balance, you had to physically subtract every liability and calculate every decimal point by hand. The gap between a consumer impulse and a final purchase was explicitly measured in time, physical effort, and manual action. This structural friction served as a natural training ground for delayed gratification, long before the world moved to a single digital tap. Right as this cohort prepared for adulthood, the infrastructure of money mutated. Debit cards and online banking portals emerged with violent velocity, allowing people to deplete capital without ever watching a physical dollar bill leave their hand. This diagram isolates the prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center for long-term strategic planning and impulse regulation. Research confirms this region develops well into your mid-20s. Xennials operated inside this high-plasticity window exactly as the financial architecture shifted to the cloud. They were young enough for new technology to feel organic, yet old enough to remember the physical laws of the past. This created a dual perspective that influences every transaction they make today. This unique perspective was tested almost immediately. Xennials entered the labor market or secured their first stable professional footing right as the 2008 subprime collapse began. For them, news tickers like this one weren't just headlines. They represented a localized trauma. They watched the banking apparatus implode, home equity vanish, and generational retirement accounts cut in half, seemingly overnight. Economic research suggests that experiencing catastrophic capital setbacks during your 20s leaves behavioral defense mechanisms that persist for decades. Even as their objective net worth recovers, the underlying risk tolerance remains fundamentally altered. The lesson locked in by that experience is that centralized systems can fail without warning. It is exactly the reason they maintain a bulletproof, off-grid backup plan, even when the broader markets are thriving. Xennials are now caught between the sacred, private financial culture of their childhood and a modern era of relentless transparency, where internet users broadcast their raw net worth dashboards and investment screenshots to the world. Continuous exposure to real-time fluctuations changes the body's relationship with money. When you only audited a balance once a month via a paper statement, capital felt static and secure. Now, watching a net worth shift by the hour places the financial nervous system on high alert. This tension isn't a flaw in their thinking, it is a specialized survival strategy. They trust the digital matrix enough to participate in it, but they remain skeptical enough to ensure they aren't entirely dependent on it. In a modern economy where capital moves faster than human eyes can track, having learned how money moves at a slow, physical pace is a significant advantage. It is the ability to use the high-leverage tools of the future without ever forgetting the core metrics that actually matter.